cold out here today, guys. You know it's cold if I'm drinking coffee. Why don't we talk today a little bit about what it takes to build one of these cars. So, as you all know, if you've been following the channel, we built a 93 Cobra tribute car. So I have people from time to time say, you need to build a shop. You need to build a shop. Well, you're right, I do. And the plans are to eventually build a shop. But this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. You know, what do you need to accomplish these goals, right? To build one of these cars back here like this, or whatever you've got in your driveway. Do you have to have a big shop to do that? Well, come on, guys. We know the answer to that. The answer is no. Just to jump straight off into this, I think a lot of times we procrastinate. We say, well, if I ever build myself a shop, well, if I ever buy up all these tools that I want, you know, have a lift, then I'll build my car, right? I used it as an excuse for a while, and then finally, I don't know what happened, but I woke up one day and I said, to hell with it, let's just build this car. We have a garage, right? I mean, essentially a garage is a shop. It's just attached to your house more than likely, or maybe it's not as big as a shop. The thing is, all you need is somewhere big enough to open your doors up in your car and be able to work on it, right? Whether that be a driveway, whether that be under a tent. But my point is this, you can do whatever you want to do. You just got to be passionate enough about it, and you got to be motivated, right? You got to have both of those. Typically, if you're passionate enough about something, you're already motivated. You're self-motivated because it's kind of, motivation's wrapped up in passion. How much money does it take? Do you have to be rich? Do you need to save up $20,000 or $30,000 before you can start on your project? That way you don't run out of money and you can buy everything you need? Let's talk about that. So, as you all know, I bought this car for, I think, 300 bucks is what it was from a friend of mine. And it was pretty rough. It was essentially a parts car. It didn't have a lot of stuff in it. I may or may not show you pictures in this video. Depends on how much time I actually have to edit it. But anyway, I picked this car up dirt cheap and it needed a lot of work. But see, this is the thing. What is work? Well, work is nothing more than you getting out here, turning a few wrenches before the end of the day, right? That's what work is. Come on. I mean, most of us aren't going to work 24 hours a day. We can't, right? So you dedicate X amount of time. For me, it was about maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. Now, that's a lot. And I'm speaking more toward like my off days and stuff. You know, on a night that I had to work or something like that, I'd come out here and maybe work 2 hours at the most, with breaks in between. Because like I said in my other video, you know, you got to have time for your family, right? You got to have time to do other things. So you can't dedicate every single moment to these cars and to building something. It just takes dedication from you. Take some time, even in probably some of the more harsh conditions where you're outside. Maybe it's sprinkling rain, maybe it's cold, but you can get out there and you can work. Guys, I had to get outside under a tent whenever I first started working on this car because I just didn't have the room in here and I couldn't see good. So I got out there underneath the tent and I got after it. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? If you send your car off for somebody to do this from scratch, like where I started with mine, which was pretty rough, and I say, I want it to this point right here, okay? I want you to get this car, which would be painted, find me a used engine transmission, put in it, convert it over to a 5-speed, put new interior in the car, just really work through all the bugs on it, and I want a solid car whenever it comes from you. Something like that would probably cost me, guys, I don't even know. I mean, I honestly have no clue. I mean, bare minimum 20 grand, I would imagine, bare minimum, to do all that work, which, you know, paint jobs are expensive. Finding someone to pull a used engine out and put it in your car for you, more than likely they're not going to do that. They're going to want to put something new in it for warranty reasons and stuff like that. So to be honest with you, if you have the skills and you have a few tools, it doesn't even really take a lot of special tools. You can do all this work in your garage, outside in your driveway. It's a mental thing, right? You have to be motivated. You have to tell yourself that I can get out here and I can do this shit. You know why you can do this? Because I did this. I'm just a normal guy. Look around. I mean, if you look close enough, you'll see cobwebs in the corner. You'll see dirt. You'll see stuff kind of pushed to the side of my garage because it's nasty and it's dirty. I've got a kid inside right now crying. I can hear her. By the way, the wife's in there, so don't worry. But the point is, I'm just a normal guy, right? And I was able to knock this out. Now, it was a lot of stress. You know, it was just getting after it, getting after it, getting after it. But this is the thing. The faster you get after something, the harder you work at it, the less time it's going to take to reach your ultimate goal, right? So we essentially had this car to where I was happy enough with it in 3 months. We had it painted, we had the engine in it, we had it on the road, we had it running, and we had wheels. So at that point, I was able to step back, take a breath, and enjoy the fruits of my labor. We're never finished with these cars, let's just be honest. If you own one of these things, it's an ongoing project. It just, it depends on if you want to continue to push forward with it like right now, or you want to put it on the back burner for a little while. The thing is, you got to get it in your head that you want to get out here and you want to build something. It's all about passion. And I say this a lot, and I'm not trying to preach, but once you understand what I'm saying, it's like a light bulb that goes off. You'll get it. If you are not passionate about what you're doing, you're probably going to fail. If you don't fail at it, it's going to take you forever to accomplish your goals. If you don't have that fire in your belly, if when you go to bed at night, this doesn't keep you up, at least for a little while, with thoughts going through your head of how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that, then you're probably not passionate enough about it. I'm not saying that's a good thing, right? I lost a lot of sleep over stuff like this, which leads me to another issue here. You gotta get after this type stuff, right? You need to knock it out. You need to stay after it so that it doesn't linger on, right? Because all this takes time away from, family stuff, from other stuff that you have to do, whether that be yard work or just, whatever the case may be. The quicker you can get it done, the better off you are. Or at least reach a landmark. Have a small enough goal set, like a midpoint or something like that, where you can meet it and then you can be happy and you can feel accomplished. Because, come on. All of us need to feel accomplished, right? It's just a mindset. Remember that. It is a mindset. I keep saying that because it is so true. If you're not feeling it, if you don't have a game plan, if you're not self-motivated, it's probably not going to happen. When I first started this project, I thought to myself, I need to get a shop. That was one of the first things that actually we talked about was, okay, if I do this Cobra clone, then I really need to go ahead and build a shop. That way I can kind of blow it apart. I can have room and just be easier on me. And guys, I was going to wait until I got a shop to do it. Well, finally one day I just got up and just started working on it. It was like, okay, well I can do this and it's free. I can do that and it's going to cost me very little money. Let's tear it apart and see what we got. Well, these things are like Legos, right? Once you blow these cars apart, there's only a few screws and bolts and there's only one way it'll go back together most of the time. So once I blew it apart and really started looking at it, I was like, well, I can go get a used fender from Roger for a few bucks, or ask around with some of my friends. I'm sure they've got a piece or a part here or there, and let's put this back on. Wow, that looks pretty good, right? Put it on, everything straight. Say, okay, well, let's take it a step further. Let's move to the interior. Let's see what I've got laying around. Oh crap, I didn't know that I had one of these pieces that's broken. So you start piecing everything together is my point, and before you know it, you start to build something. You start to have something. So then the big question comes up with me, with the engine on this car, since we didn't have one, was where in the hell am I going to get an engine from? That's not cheap, right? Well, that's where I had to make a decision and I had to sacrifice something, which was horsepower. Let's just be honest. Everybody wants to throw a really nice engine in their car whenever they're building something like this. I had to be self-aware. I had to dig down deep and say, all right, Brutal, you're not going to be able to afford a $10,000 engine to go in this car. You're just not. It's not going to happen. And if that's what you go after, then we're going to be 3-4 years into this shit. So what I did was said, all right, what's going to make me the happiest? What was going to make me the happiest was being able to drive my car to the service station. Be able to pull into the gas station up there and let everybody see my work, right? And I know that may sound a little conceited, but it's not. We should all be proud of what we do, and we should want to show it off. If you don't want to show it off, then more than likely, you didn't please yourself. You didn't do what was in your heart. You're not happy with your work. That's the main thing I wanted to do, guys. I wanted to drive it around and just feel the car. See it out in the driveway, wash it, clean it up, and know that I did that. Could care less how much horsepower it had, right? That was my saving grace. So I looked around on Craigslist and I found myself a convertible 5.0 Mustang with an automatic. Right off the bat, I'm not a huge automatic fan. I was like, oh crap. So you know what? Screw it. Let's go ahead and do it, because every nut and bolt that I need is on this car. We literally could get this car running in a weekend. I said, you know what? Let's get it. I think I paid $1,100 for the car. Had a blown head gasket. Big deal. Cost a few bucks. Snatched the head off of it. Fixed it. while it was still in the car though. Drove it around, car ran great. I said, now we can pull that engine out and we can put it in this, and we know that we have every single component that it'll take to make this car move under its own power. Guys, that was it. That was a saving grace for this project, because if I had not done that, if I had not bought that donor car, we would not be where we are today. So that's what we did, guys. We pulled the engine out, we changed the oil pump, put a new oil pan gasket on it, and essentially cleaned it with a pressure washer and threw it in. Oh, it was filthy. Did it look good? Absolutely not. It looked like trash. But we now could drive this car around. And what that does is just breathe new life into your project. It was the most awesome feeling to have that thing running under its own power in a very limited amount of time. I guess we should address the paint, right? So I understand not everybody's going to be able to do paint and body. So we'll take that out of the equation. If you can do paint and body, then get after it, guys. Get out there and do that too. But for those of you that can't do paint and body, who cares, right? Who cares if it's 5 different colors from parts you had to get off of different cars? As long as you can see that thing out in the driveway, go sit in it and start it up, it's going to make you happy, especially if it started from a non-running car. Now, a lot of you guys have got it a little easier. You've already got a car. It just needs to be taken apart. Now, I want to say this. Mentally, sometimes I believe the cars that are already running that just maybe don't run good, or interior doesn't look good, it's got a few, panels on the car that need to be fixed and replaced. A lot of times those are the harder ones to get started on. And the reason why, I think, is because they already have everything they need. They're a running, driving car. They're just not as nice as what you would want. So it's really hard, I think, mentally to take these cars apart knowing that they already run. But it's what you got to do. If you have a running car, a running, driving car with all the pieces and parts in it, right? As long as you take everything off, fix it, you can put it right back where it was. You don't have to hunt and search for screws and bolts. You already have that stuff. So those cars really are the easiest. I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but it's harder to get started on those type cars. I've run into that problem before on some of the ones that I've had before. You just get in there with some Armor All and you try to clean it up, and you hit it with some degreaser here and there and a little shot of paint, but it never looks as good as what it should, because they really need to be taken apart and done right. Just cleaned up, resprayed, a couple pieces replaced, and there you go, put it back together. Cars like that, every nut and bolt you have to find, because it didn't have anything. So you really need a donor car. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different levels to this, and I know it probably sounds confusing and it sounds like I'm just rambling, but listen to what I'm saying and put it all together. There's a message here. You can do it. You got to do your research. I preach this. Get on the internet, search. I have some videos that you can look through. And a lot of it is you have to learn along the way. So maybe your issue is you just don't know how to do this stuff. Well, hell, guy, none of us know how to do this stuff. We learn every day. Do you realize that I've never put a brake booster on one of these cars? I thought I have. Every day I learned something new. I thought I had put a brake booster on these cars before, and then I got the stuff and I was like, you know what, I've never done this. Now, money is always an issue. I understand that not everybody has the money to throw at one of these cars, no doubt. What is it going to take to get you to where you want to be with this car? And the secret's going to be you doing your own work. If you try to take your car somewhere and pay somebody to do it, you might as well double the price of what it would have cost you to do it yourself, if not triple sometimes. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can get on the internet, you can look, see how everybody else is doing it. Well, they're probably doing it differently. They're probably building it from the ground up with the best of the best parts, and it might take them 5 years, and they probably have a lot more money than me or you have. You got to look inside yourself and know what you can handle, money-wise and ability-wise, right? You have to do that. You got to say, okay, I got this much that I know I'll be able to use in a year's time, and I've got this much ability. Now, the ability, can go up like that as you learn. The money, a lot of times, is not. It's probably actually going to go down a little bit. So, have a game plan money-wise and your abilities. Meaning, there again, not everybody's going to be able to paint a car. Not everybody's going to be able to rebuild a transmission. That is a little extreme. I do admit that. But most everything else you can do yourself. So get yourself a game plan, because look, if you don't, then you're going into this blind, right? The one thing that you don't want to do is what you don't want to do. I know, right? Sounds simple. What makes you happy when you look at a car? What makes me happy when I look at a car is nice paint, straight body lines, a set of nice wheels, and the fact that it runs, right? I'm happy with that. Like, that makes me feel good, and I'm okay with that. What I don't care about, and now this is where I'm different, and I understand some of you guys don't feel the same, but this is what I don't care about. I don't care to see some raggedy looking parts car, but underneath it's got all new suspension. It's got $5 grand in suspension underneath it, and there's not even a damn engine in it. To me, that's wrong. That's the wrong way of going about it, unless of course you have the money to do that. If you've got $30,000 for a build, then sure, start from the ground up, right? Get underneath the car, do whatever you got to do. But what'll happen if you don't have the money and you try to do this, then more than likely you're going to run out of money with $1,000, $2,000 worth of suspension under this car, and you're sitting there with all this money in your car that you can't see. Car looks no different. It's about what you see on a daily basis, right? As you walk around these cars, as you walk through the garage or walk by it in the driveway to go get in your other car to go to work, what is it that you see? Do you see that you're making progress? Yeah, you start from the ground up, from the underside of the car, and a lot of times you don't. Now, granted, guys, sometimes you've got to do that, so don't misunderstand me, okay? I mean, if you've got rust in your floorboard, sometimes it's best probably to go ahead and address that now to see if it's even worth dealing with. You may get underneath there and realize, oh crap, I don't want to deal with this. It was probably best to scrap the car anyway. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. It's about learning yourself, right? You have to learn who you are and what it is that's going to drive and motivate you. For me, like I said, it's probably a little different. You know, I still have suspension stuff to do to this car. It looks good, right? It looks like a complete car. It looks like you could get in this thing and drive it anywhere you wanted to go. Oh boy, you cannot. I promise you, you can't do that. The suspension on this car is just, it's worn out, guys. It's gone. The front half of the car I've already done a lot of work to, but the back, it's all worn out. So we're gonna fix that. But this motivates me to get it to that point, right? To fix underneath the car so that we can drive it and it'll be a complete car. Right now, the way it sits, it's not. That's it. I really just wanted to touch on this today. You're gonna notice I ramble a lot. My brain is all over the place. It just is. I can't help it. It is what it is. I could chop this up and edit it, you know, so that it sounds really good for you guys, but this is the way my brain works. And maybe you can see, like, in my eyes, you know, that I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. This is serious stuff, and it's not always easy to explain to people. You know, I try to help people where I can with this, but at the same time, I'm probably just different. But what I'm trying to do is let you see how it looks from my point of view. You know, I was a victim of the internet back in the day. I got on the internet, and those guys will spoil you. I mentioned it in, I think, one of my live feeds, or maybe in one of the other videos, that you know, groups like what was it, StangNet, SVT Performance, Yellow Bullet, oh crap, Corral.net, all those groups, right? These guys post these high dollar cars, right? And you think, oh my God, I want my car to look like that. Well, what you don't realize is they probably have 30 grand in the restoration of that car to get it to that point or more. You know, Gearhead 704, and you know, he wouldn't mind me saying this because he's mentioned it a few times himself. He's got over 60 grand in his Fox body, guys, and it's because he paid everybody to do everything when he first got the car. Now, he's seen the light. Now he's working on his own cars as much as he can. And you got to respect that. You might not be able to do everything, but the fact that you go out there and you try, you know, that's respect. And that's the thing, you know, you got to have respect for yourself. You got to want to respect yourself. Don't give up. Push through it. You know, it's going to be tough sometimes, guys, but you can push through it. Anyway, this has been a really, really long rant, and I do apologize. I'm thinking back through everything that I just said, you probably didn't get anything out of this. God, I hope so. Maybe I might have to edit around this, guys. Anyway, I'm going to pause for a second. Think of anything that I missed, and I'll get back with you guys in just a second. I thought about it, and I think I covered about everything I wanted to cover. You know, I really did. There's a lot of stuff that you're not going to want to hear, and a lot of it will go over your head. Until you're ready to hear it, you're not going to hear it. There's so much more that I want to talk about that relates to passion and motivation. But this just isn't the video for it. And I know you don't like hearing it all the time, but it's something that needs to be said. If you've made it through this video to this point right here, I appreciate it. I really do. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear what I have to say, but sometimes I feel it's important, you know. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the best YouTuber. I'm not the biggest YouTuber, but I have a different outlook on things. So that's what I want to offer you guys, is a different outlook. So maybe you can mix a little bit of your outlook with my outlook and come up with a really good plan. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.